One Piece chapter 1130, Oda is back. Not saying he ever left, but he's done it again. He's done it again. I'm locked in. I'm excited for Elbaf. I have so many different things in my head that I want to say. I really feel sad that we're going on a two week break. No One Piece. It's not that long. It's not like the One Piece anime, 6 months. It could be worse. So we have a lot to look forward to. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into the chapter. Let's start with the cover story because, you know, we kind of have to do that. It's an obligation. All right? Obligation. Now, somebody's stealing stuff in Elbaf. I mean, Elbaf is just in the brain. Someone is stealing stuff just in Wano in general. I'm like, yo, y'all were just under Kaido's thumb in turmoil for 20 years and y'all just back at it again. Listen, I don't know. Okay, well, we could justify it saying, well, people that were, you know, in turmoil for 20 years, people are broke, right? It's a lot of, they weren't making money. They got their homes taken away, all their assets. People are trying to get back to where they were. And so like, it's like a fight for survival, right? That could be one thing, but they're spinning it. Someone stole the katana while Yamato was sleeping, her and Tama. Again, this cover story is one that's just, where we going? Where we going? Are we going somewhere? Not much else to say. Cool stuff. Let's get to the chapter. I like the fact the other Straw Hats are actually looking for, you know, the OGs, just because, I mean, it just makes sense in continuity of things. I mean, what else would we expect, right? They're lost. They're looking for them. And at this point, again, the conclusion was always going to be, they should be okay. I mean, it's Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. They should be okay. And that was the conclusion for the most part. Again, Frankie's design as well. Hey. His best design post time skip. I think the shoulders are not as pronounced, right? He has the hat on. He looks like a real mob boss. I'm not gonna lie. I love this design for Frankie. Please, just more of this Frankie. Frankie's one of my favorites pre-time skip, and then they changed the design and but really like Frankie's design so far. They're doing an excellent job of describing how vast Elbaf is. They're saying it's so gigantic that it's making Nami busy. When they were describing the bridge, like the bridge was so large that the gaps between, like, humans could just fall through, right? So they're doing a good job. Again, Oda typically does a great job of this in regards to world building. That's why One Piece is probably, in regards to world building, like, peerless, but they're doing such an amazing job of just showing us, yo, this is Elbaf, this is why it's different, and just the vastness of this area, of this country, it is second to none. And you feel it when you're reading the chapter. We saw premium milk really early though in Gerd, and Oda knows what he's doing here by giving that to us very early. But Gerd and Goldberg, they're walking away and having a conversation about Road, right? Just because Road, he's kind of creepy. He collects things and he's bringing things in who are technically intruders, and those things are who Gerd and Goldberg they're trying to keep out. Now, somebody had a theory when I was streaming, and they thought about this, and I was like, yo, this makes so much sense. What if Road is the person that brought in a broken ship, a bunch of broken people, and he's collecting them, and they're there as well. Who could I be talking about? Yes, Kid Pirates. Very creative by Kid and the Kid Pirates. They got collected by Road and that crow, just because, I mean, just think about Kid being broken and Road literally putting him back together, right? It makes sense, and I think Kid isn't dead. If Kid is dead, whoa, Oda, whoa. But I don't think he's dead. I think he's gonna come back for sure. One thing Luffy's always been able to do though is perceive when someone's a good person or a bad person, like how you saw Gerd and Goldberg. He's like, I don't know, they kind of look like good people, which technically they are, right? From what we know about them, they're good, right? They're good. I don't know if anybody said he ever really good, right? Because even good people do bad things, but I digress. Even though part of me is like, yo, just call out to them, it'll work out. I understand what they're trying to do. Like, we don't know them, we can't trust them. We can just call out to them and hope everything works out. We're doing the right thing, even though Luffy was trying to do that, right? And Sanji, I'm right there with you, bro. We locked in. I understand what I saw, and you know what you saw, and so great stuff so far. Now in the midst of this, trying to figure out what's going to happen, what's going on, Luffy gets goosebumps. And when Luffy gets goosebumps, Luffy has to figure out what's the reason for the goosebumps, and Luffy runs off. Zoro, you know, he felt it as well, and he's just like, yo, there's wolves, you can't go into the forest. And Luffy's like, it's a war, I gotta go. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Which I'm okay with Luffy running off. The only person I'm not okay with running off is Zoro, just because he's not gonna find his way back. Luffy somehow always makes it work. He always figures it out. And Oda, the thing is with Luffy running off is such a thing that Luffy does. Him running off doesn't feel like a way for Oda just to progress and get into the plot point. It feels like this is just Luffy being Luffy, and somehow Luffy runs into, we'll get to that. Bounties. The giant warriors, the captains, they got new bounties, 1.8 billion apiece. Do I have a problem with it? No. Do I think it's going to lead to some very toxic discourse? Yes. Just because people do this thing where they kind of equate bounties to power level and strength. I'm just like, clearly that's not the case. However, for Dory and Brogy, inflation for the most part gave them this. And again, perspective, perception, affiliations because they're affiliated with Shanks, they're affiliated with Luffy. They were supposedly an egghead. They've been around for a long time. They're pretty old. Inflation and just longevity. They deserve this bounty. Like, they deserve 1.8 because to capture Dory and Brogy, who are veteran warriors, right, who've been fighting each other for a long time, right? They're chiseled, sharp. Iron sharpens iron. Like, I think they were misrepresented earlier in the story. Like, no BS. I know people think I hate the Giants. I do. I don't. I don't. I do. I don't. I don't. They hate the Giants, but it's like they genuinely should be strong as shit because they've been sharpening each other for eons. And so at the end of the day, Oda has a chance to do something funny by making them way more impressive than we saw in the past. The Elbaf spear, that's not moving me what they did to Kid because Kid was already done. That was already wrapped up. They just, the table, the food was already eaten. They just had to clean up the table. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Oda could definitely make Dory and Brogy a lot more impressive. And this is the way to do it by having them come out. 1.8 billion, that's most than a lot of our faves. It is. The only first commander I think could be higher right now, probably Ben Beckman, but it's more than Zoro, more than Jinbei, more than, I was about to say more than Jack. They're gonna be like, of course it's more than Jack. Jack sucks. I hear you. I have a different feeling about Jack, but I hear you. I like how they received the information though, because it's just like 1.8. We wasn't even trying to make a comeback. We just wanted, Robin somewhat explained it as well, saying like, the bounties and prices changed a bit in the last 100 years. So she's basically explaining inflation. And that's the main reason for you guys getting this much. But you've also been around for a long time. It's almost like, it's a vet contract. Luffy being blamed for Vegapunk's murder is not surprising at all. Big News already somewhat told us that he was going to spin the narrative. Him absolutely just spinning it to that is crazy. Now the picture, right? The picture of Luffy with the X on his arm. At first it threw me for a loop. I'm like, when did Luffy do this? Why would Luffy do this? This doesn't make sense. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So that's just something that I was like confused about. Then I started reading even more. That helps, right? When you read. When they said the arm is blurry, but the mark is crystal clear, it told me everything I needed to know at that point. Vivi used this moment to signal the Straw Hats because nobody else would get this reference other than the Straw Hats because she, of course, she's with Big News, right? She's somehow infiltrated the printing press and somehow was able to say, hey, I want an X on Luffy's arm, or she did the X on the original copy. And before the printings got done, it was sent out that way. But that is Vivi's mark, Vivi's indicator, her signal that she's okay and that she's with Big News in some capacity. So she's letting the Straw Hats know that she's okay. That chef's kiss. Love it so much. And Luffy being in giant form. I wonder what Vivi feels about all this. Like, what the hell, Luffy? What the hell? But I thought that was really, really, really cool. Now, the ramifications of Luffy being the one that killed Vegapunk. Bounties for the Straw Hats? New bounties? New bounties? I know it feels really soon, but like, come on. They just did something spectacular. I mean, the Giants have got 1.8. I need at least, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that soon. I don't want to spoil. Interestingly enough, I like when they talk about Luffy and saying he's on the same level of like Shanks, right? I was about to say Katakuri. Just instinct. So that's really cool because it's even hard to fathom sometimes thinking Luffy is literally on the same level as Shanks. Like it's perceived on the same level. I think Shanks is so stronger, but he's perceived to be on the same level considering like their titles and their standing in the world. So that's really cool. I really enjoyed that. But we get some more information, right? They talk about Hajrudin and how Hajrudin is the king's kid. He's royalty. Now, if you go back and shout out to my boy Breezy, he sent me some panels and Hajrudin in Dressrosa, his goal was to become the king of the giants. So Hajrudin, if I'm going to just surmise what happened here, he showed up in Elbaf by you-know-whom, and then he came down to, saying come down, like he came to Dressrosa to get the Murmur no Mi because we know somebody, you-know-whom, has a legendary devil fruit for whatever reason, passed down, and so maybe he came for the Murmur no Mi to kind of compete, right? But he wanted to be the king of the pirates. I'm going to assume he got showed up by his you-know-whom, and then he was like, I got to get stronger. So then he goes and then it's a tournament. Hey, then you get destroyed by Gear Second Luffy. But that's fine. That's fine. But it's painting more of a picture of like who Hajrudin is. Him being the king's son. So basically he's a prince. That's crazy. To me, that's crazy to me. Oh my God. Now, the trouble on Elbaf, and we meet the trouble at the end, but let's talk about the trouble on Elbaf. Somebody's called the Accursed Prince. Now, Accursed. Initially, it felt to me like he was somebody that was just a troublemaker. The more I read it, the more it feels like he can't help it. Like he was born this way. Now, I'm not sure if it's the Doflamingo route where he was just straight up an evil bastard, or he's born with a certain affliction that he leans into it. Because they said he devoted himself to darkness. Was that his choice? Or did that just happen? You know, like, is he Hisoka? Is he Nanika? Some may get that reference. Some might not. Hopefully everyone does, because everybody should be reading Hunter x Hunter. Anyway, it gives me pause a little bit because, okay, they were sentencing him to crucifixion because apparently he killed his dad, Hajrudin's dad, because he is the prince of Elbaf. So that's Hajrudin's brother. And King Harold, well, Loki killed him. I'm gonna say his name, Loki. I don't want to say it 3 times. He killed him. And so they're saying, yo, the wars came together to catch him. Like, they all had to come together, and it feels like, okay, I don't want to say it feels exactly like it, but when like they're like, oh, we have to go catch Yamato. But this guy feels like on a different level. Like, Oda's done a good job of building him up for sure, like being passed down, the legendary devil fruit. What could this devil fruit be? Somebody had an interesting theory that this devil fruit is the rubber fruit, right? And, you know, because of the sun god being rubber, Nika being rubber, he got the rubber fruit. He assumed, oh, I'm the sun god, but he just really has the actual just rubber fruit, nothing else. And Luffy has the legendary devil fruit. So it's just like, if Oda does that, that'd be a cool twist, right? If that does happen, but I don't know. We've been calling for this, saying, hey, what does a giant with a devil fruit look like? That's not Morley, because Morley, we got to stay away from Morley. But what is a giant, maybe a Logia devil fruit? What does that look like, right? That would be really, really cool to see. And man, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. They call him the shame of Elbaf. And again, I will talk more about this, but the pride of giants, it's a real thing. It's truly a real thing where like how he's acting and how he goes about things, they're looking at it like you're the shame of us. And I'm just like, no, like, bro, have you seen John Giant and what Whitebeard did to him? You should be ashamed of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I understand it. I understand them looking at Loki and him just killing his dad, allegedly, right? And what he is, they're calling him the shame. For Loki, we meet him and he's, the design is amazing. He looks so good, bro. He just looks so fire. Luffy pulls up on him, right? And Luffy, of course, does this thing where I'm Luffy, I'm going to be king of the pirates. And Loki, again, it looks like fan art just because of just how he's drawn. You get to Oda put some time into this, thought about it, and say, yo, I want Loki. I want the people to feel Loki. And so I love this so much. I really do. Loki has an insane design, insane aura, and he wants to be the sun god and bring about the end of the world. Now, the lore in Elbaf is going to be spectacular. What I'm thinking about, though, for Loki is he's spinning the sun god narrative, right? Is he spinning it and thinking like, okay, let's say the lore in Elbaf, like the sun god is going to be the dawn of the world. For Loki, people talk about Ragnarok and how Oda's going to incorporate that. Is he saying, yo, I'm the sun god, I'm going to bring about Ragnarok? He's leaning into that, but it's just like him just spinning the story because he thinks he's the main character, kind of like Kaido did when he thought like, oh, Joy Boy would be able to beat me. If he beats me, he's Joy Boy. It's like, you're not wrong, but like, you're wrong because it's not about you necessarily, Kaido. So I know, a lot, word salad, but it's got me thinking, man. It's got me thinking. This guy Loki's going to be impressive. I don't know if Luffy frees him. I don't know why, because Loki, there's more stuff we're gonna get into in regards to Loki for sure, just because he's Loki kind of fire. All right, that was low hanging fruit. I like how they paint Elbaf as a birthplace of war, but I don't care for war here necessarily. I want lore. Like, yes, war could happen, and I think, you know, we could get some fights and stuff, but I'm really like, I'm not here for that. I just want to know what happened. Tell me more about your history. Tell me about the world history, because I'm sure there's stuff that the giants know. They're older, they live longer. There's stuff that exists there that wouldn't exist anywhere else. We have to meet Saul. So it's so much stuff I'm looking forward to outside of just war. And that could be the contrast that Oda gives us. Like, this is the birthplace of war, but then he gives us just so much dialogue and information. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Not gonna lie to you guys. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? What do you expect? What do you expect from Loki? What do you expect from Luffy? How do you feel about Elbaf now? I think Elbaf stocks are up. Giant stocks are up as well. We are excited about what's gonna happen. 2-week break, but we'll be okay. We'll bounce back, right? We'll be fine. Because when it comes back, it's on and popping. So yeah, like, subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one. Oh, thanks to my patrons as well. I appreciate you guys, right? You guys hold it down. Reactions, link below. Daima, Dandadan, Dragon Ball, Piki, the Bear, all that. Link below if you want to check it out. Catch you next one.